welcome you to the second hour of the program. You're tuned into Chartback. Time check approximately 10:10 Central African Time. And my guest on the program today is the United Party for National Development (UPND) President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilem. Mr. President, we're into the second hour.
Yes.
All right. We were outlining the 7 proposals to the amendment bill that will be tabled before Parliament shortly. All right. Now, I want you to wind up on the remaining, and then we move on to the next point.
Thank
All right, which has to do with KCM. Please carry on.
Thank you, Lorenzo. There are actually quite a number of changes that are proposed, and I had chosen to spend more time on some, but I think it's important to mention others as well, so that no one accuses us of being selective, right? So one other change that they want to make within what they call the electoral reform is to increase the number of days that a presidential petition is allowed to run from 14 days to 30 days. Now, from the surface of it, an innocent mind or eye would think this is a good thing, but it is not. It is not for these reasons, for those of us who understand the presidential petitions. You need to look at the fact that our presidential petition in 2016 was not heard because the incumbent, amongst other reasons, refused to respect the constitutional provisions. The incumbent and others. One provision that is already there in the current constitution is that if and when a presidential petition is submitted and is a valid submission, like our petition was valid, immediately the president, whoever is sitting in that office is part of the litigants. In this case, he was petitioned. He must vacate the office. He must no longer have executive powers. And the executive powers must move to the Speaker of the National Assembly immediately. Immediately. And that's what stored our petition then, amongst other reasons. Now, that requirement is important, Lorenzo, for 2 reasons, and for the listeners. Number 1, to allow for a fair adjudication of the petition. Has the National Dialogue Forum provided for that? To solve that problem? No. The second reason is that a president enjoys immunity within the current constitution, and the NDF has not touched on those issues. If you prosecute a president, a sitting president, through a presidential petition who enjoys immunity, you are just wasting your time. It's an exercise in futility, because the immunity, amongst other provisions, requires that he is not prosecuted. She is not prosecuted. Have you understand? Have you understood? Have the people understood what I'm saying? Have the NDF done anything to circumvent those contraventions of the Constitution which we experienced in 2016? The answer is no. Extending the period from 14 days to 30 days, when a sitting president like Mr. Lungu refused to vacate office, does not solve your problem of the petition. Here's another fact, which is not dealt with at all in this animal farm type of deliberations at NDF, this sham, which is basically a kindergarten way of doing things that are of national importance. Here's another reason. Under the Constitution, current Constitution, under the Bill of Rights, every citizen who is infringed, for whatever reasons, Lorenzo, has a right to go to court to seek redress, and the court has an obligation to hear that citizen. In the 2016 petition, our petition was never heard. But yet, the fundamental Bill of Rights indicates that it's a right to be heard in a court of law, and the judge has no right to object. We still have our matter on the right to be heard, even today. How many days? It's years after 2016, after September, October 2016. It is years. So if you extend this petition period by 30 days, have you solved the problem? You have not solved the problem. Simple and straight. This provision too, although it looks, coated with honey, it is a PF don't cover to make citizens feel reasons. They try to put this to appease the people, but also to use it when they lose the next election before 2021 or in 2021. It will not work for them. Ngantau yafika yochoka, yafika. You can do anything you want, you will not survive. So I thought I should reinforce that proposal as well, which actually is of absolute no value to the citizens and to the process. And there's no remedy at all. The other point is that the NDF is suggesting that, Lorenzo, that independent candidates should select symbols, election symbols, from a list of symbols which are made available by the Electoral Commission. This is a contravention, again, of the freedom of conscience, the freedom to choose what you want. This offends the Bill of Rights as well, because it's the decision of a candidate to choose a symbol. UPND is forward. Farizo, Pachisansa, Muriwoko. It's a choice we made because it means a lot. This symbol means a lot. This symbol means if you want to achieve jobs, you must move forward. You must have progressive policies. You must have investment policies that encourage investment so that economy grows and the jobs can be created. This symbol means that progress is only forward. But the PF symbol reflects something else. Violence. A fist is violence. When you want to fight, do you extend a hand or you clench a fist? You clench a fist. That is what PF are. That's why you see violence under PF cadres. It is part of their imaging. It's part of their psyche. This symbol means if you want to produce more food at a lower cost, to reduce the price of milk, you must be progressive forward in agriculture. So now you can't choose a symbol for a party. You are contravening on their basic rights, freedoms, and liberties. So this is wrong too. Who is easy to choose a symbol for a political party? It is wrong. It must not be entertained. Now, it takes me to the next item. The next item which they are proposing to change here is an item where they want to revise payment of pensions and benefits to public service workers, and whether these stay on the payroll or not. Currently, anyone who is retired in national interest, public interest, they remain on the payroll until they've been paid their benefits, currently. So what has PF done? They've removed illegally these people who they victimized on ethnic grounds, on political grounds, on religious grounds. They don't want to pay them their salaries, yet they've not paid them their benefits. How do people feed their children? Lawrence, you've been forced out of employment. You are a doctor, medical, you're only 30 years old. You're accused of being UPND, or you are accused of being born in a different area. You speak, in their view, a language they don't want, yet a language is a gift from God. They remove you from the what? Leaving patients suffering without a doctor, and patients die. Now, this young doctor, this young civil servant, teacher, policeman, as what happened to Shapo Wakunguma and his friends in Sesheke, being retired in public interest. Now, the PF does not want them to earn salaries until they're paid their benefits. The benefits are delayed. As you know, there are so many people who are not being paid benefits. So now these people must suffer. Their children must suffer. They won't go to school. They must fail to provide food since meal is so expensive, which we in the UPND want to reduce by having a progressive forward movement policies in agriculture. Now they must suffer in this manner. We do not agree. This is wrong. because they now are proposing that anyone who is removed from public services, retired in national interest, should be removed from the payroll, even though they are not paid their benefits. What more criminality from a government are you looking for? What more harshness, what more brutalness are you looking for from a person or persons that claim they actually are in office in the interest of the people? They are not. Very quickly, they have put a provision, right, to elect mayors and council chairpersons from inside the chamber, council chambers, by councillors. Now, the current situation is that the people of Zambia decided through the Constitutional Review Commissions I talked about earlier, that a mayor, a council chairman must be elected by the people at the district level. All the voters in that district must vote the one they want to be a mayor or district chairman. That's democracy. That's direct control people have on the bearers of these offices. The PF have realized that the mayors have become independent and they cannot manipulate them, so they won't go back to the councillors electing them. This is wrong. You're taking away progress of democracy from the people. You are now shrinking and taking away the rights of voters. This too is wrong. Something else that is wrong, they are proposing. They want members of parliament to go back to the council. This is only used as an enticement, as a sweetener to the members of parliament who will be sitting in that house to approve these amendments, to say, you see, Mr. MPY, we will now take you back to council, you will earn more allowances, you will also be deciding on CDF. It may be correct to decide on CDF, but you can do it different. So, but they are using this as a sweetener to dupe members of parliament. Please, members of parliament, you are elected to represent the interests of the people, not yourselves. Do not fall for this. What else, Lorenzo, are they doing?
Basically, those are the main matters, and
Yeah.
I would really want us to move on to the aspect of KCM. Now,
Yeah.
we have to highlight from the outset that the matter is in court to do with Konkola Copper Mines.
Yes.
So we are alive to the fact that there's a due process of the law that has to be followed, and we would in no way be contemptuous.
Yes.
And we are probably going to make interactions in that regard, bearing in mind that that is a matter that is before the courts of law. Now, Mr. President, Konkola Copper Mines
Yes.
has been liquidated.
Yes.
Right. And,
Absolutely.
and
Is in liquidation.
Is in liquidation.
Yes.
Not technically, but literally in liquidation. And this
No,
has
technically, once you announce, that's
and
it.
that's it.
Yeah.
That has
Serve the court process.
served the court process.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that has kind of like raised so much opinion, interest, and also divided opinion across the length and breadth of this country. What do you make of the happenings at KCM? And what is your party's position on the liquidation of Konkola Copper Mines?
Yeah. Lorenzo, I respect your question. Very important is the legal issues around, but I think we'll find a way of avoiding, or if you like, not being contemptuous. But just allow me a minute to close this NDF issue by picking two issues. One issue is a provision they've made for entry of women and marginalized groups in parliament and councils. This is what the people wanted for a long time. But it sits alone there as a sweetener. Yes, we want women, marginalized groups, youth, different level to go to parliament, but not in this environment. So that too is simply a don't go ever thing. Very, very important. Maybe, Lorenzo, another small one. They want the civil servants who are seeking public office to stand as a councillor, to stand as an MP, to resign their jobs 2 years before elections. 2 years. Why is PF doing that? They don't want competition from competent civil servants. Yes, they can resign maybe, a few months, especially when the campaign period starts. Let's say the 90 days, and it should remain 90 days. We insist it should remain 90 days, not 30 days. Then a civil servant can declare interest, resign, and apply or contest for elections. 3 months, not 2 years, because PF are afraid of good people, because they are also aware that civil servants, permanent secretaries, directors have seen that PF has failed, so they don't want to be challenged. We would like to promote challenge, and it's very, very important. The last one, Lorenzo, I want to raise, which is very, very important. In one provision, they provided for what, I'll read it so that we know it very clear. Provide for matters connected with or incidental to the above proposals they've made. This is the dynamite. I know people are saying, what does this mean? This is, Lorenzo, the dynamite. What the PF want to do, they are sending a message in a basically dishonest way. They want MPs to go to Parliament, give them sweeteners of returning to the councils, all the other flowery things, but this is the bomb. You give them the 2/3 majority to open the constitutional making process, because that's what they need. They don't have it now. They want to use independent MPs, opposition MPs. And these opposition MPs and independent must be alive to the interests of the people, as we have described today. Then when they open the door into the room, the PF now will bring all these ugly things that are against the people. Cabinet ministers increased, deputy ministers, provincial, all the things we've talked about, including what they've not said here. We know that the PF wants to sneak in a 7-year term. They did not talk about it because they knew it would be, if you like, objected to. But they will sneak it in on the floor of the House. They are going to exclude from elections some opposition leaders, including myself, including HH. We know their intention. They will do that. And at that time, you will have given them the blanket to cover themselves in any way by giving them the 2/3 vote to allow the debate, opening the debate on the Constitution, because specific clauses are changed on the floor of the House by a simple majority. And therein lies the devil in this NDF, which is why citizens and MPs must not allow this bill to be discussed on the floor of the House. It must end now. You have seen public opinion is against it. Even Lungu himself is beginning to accept that it's wrong. So this is the point we say this whole process is wrong. It must be stopped here. It must not go to the doors of the Parliament building, and MPs must all use their collective wisdom, including PF1 members of Parliament, to reject this thing. Full stop. And we must return to the dialogue process led by the 3 church mother bodies for consensus building, for so many other value aspects. I wanted to close this thing. This is the ultimate, that we must all as citizens reject this process forthwith. It must not be allowed to be on the floor, tabled on the floor of the House, because it will be abused. They will bring in many other clauses that are damaging. Let's go to case here. And I thank you for allowing me to say things, and also to simply say, you can't be wasting money on this process, Lorenzo, when there's load shedding. The price of electricity is going up. There will be load shedding. When, PF is demanding that they basically use IBA, let me put it this way, to destroy media houses, to destroy the 4th estate, because you have the executive, number 1, Parliament, number 2, which is the legislature, number 3, you have the judiciary, number 4, it is the media. Now they are asking IBA to basically, not asking, order broadcasting and media houses to be sending recordings to IBA every 2 weeks. This is killing the 4th estate. Now, this is where our attention must be. This is what we should be saying no to, instead of entertaining a sham process like this. Citizens are hating. They want jobs. They want businesses. Students want to be in school. Everything is wrong. Farming is wrong. Suppliers of agricultural inputs are not paid. Everything is wrong. Why should we be spending money and time on this process? Let's end it now here. Let's go to KCM. I think, Lorenzo, you have already put the backdrop that this is a matter in court. This is a matter that we do not want to be contemptuous of court. But there are things that are simply factual, and they must be discussed. I think it's got nothing to do with contempt of court. Let me start by giving a statement that there is a problem in KCM, a big one for that matter, and it requires urgent and comprehensive solutions. It requires sound minds to resolve. The problems in KCM and other mines, by the way, Lorenzo, other mines. Now it's KCM, so we stick to KCM, but tomorrow or the other day we should talk about other mines. The problems have many dimensions. They are of an investment nature, challenges, social nature, legal nature, political and technical nature. I have spoken to friends on the copper belt, mining engineers, geologists, very great number of them. Suppliers, contractors, employees, citizens of ours, relatives of ours. And it's clear that KCM is in deep problems. We are all agreed about that, Lorenzo. The message is loud and clear that KCM is sick and requires cure. What the issue is how do we provide this cure? How do we solve this problem? I have read in the media where PF are alleging, this cantankerous PF media is alleging that HH agrees with PF and Lungu on the liquidation of KCM. Lorenzo, I don't agree. They are trying to wash their mess using HH's name. I don't agree. We agree that there's a problem, but we are different in our approach to resolving the problem. The PF have gone through a process of winding up the company. Liquidation is winding up the company. I don't agree with that. I don't agree, not even a drop of water, an iota, with that approach. I and many of us who are progressive, having agreed that there's a problem in KCM, we have a different approach to the solution. The solution for us is to put KCM under administration, under curatorship, under an interim management, a transitory curatorship, transitory administration, a transitory interventionist management. Why? Why do we agree with this approach? Why do we disagree with PF? One, PF's approach is a behavior of a voucher that lurks around an animal that is sick and needs medicine. Instead of providing medicine, they actually sit around and wait, as a voucher does, on top of a tree until the animal is dead. Then they can devour it. They can eat it. They can cut it into pieces. They can benefit themselves as PF and their friends. You can see it in the appointment of the provisional liquidator. A PF member, a PF office bearer, Lungu's lawyer, direct or indirectly. What is his name? Milongo what? Milingo Lungu. Even that alone is obscene. What experience has he got? This is obscene. This is the mind of a voucher. That is what liquidation means. Liquidation is to basically dismantle a company, because